final speaker is going to be Daniel Miressi. Come on up, Daniel. I got to watch the debate that he did with not only Bob Duff, but also the third person who's running in this race. And so there's quite a lot going on in this race. It's very exciting.
It's fun.
But Daniel's awesome, so I'll let him carry it away.
Thank you. First off, everyone, Alex, Nicole, Tony, it takes a lot of courage to run. It really does.
Yes.
It does.
More than it ever did.
One thing I've learned from this process is everyone has ideas and everyone wants to get involved and everyone has their 2 cents to put in, but when it comes down to it, very few people want to get into the arena. So regardless of what happens with anything, it's the fight that counts. It really is. I was thinking a lot about that today, because CTRA and everything you guys stand for, it's the conservative wing of the Republican Party, right?
Republican wing of the Republican Party.
Republican wing of the Republican Party, yeah. And I'm going to break public speaking 101 here. I had this quote going around in my head all day. And so bear with me if I butcher it, but these are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from their duty to this country.
Yeah.
But those who stand not deserve the thanks of every man and woman, because tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. And we have the consolation in knowing that the greater the conquest, the more glorious the triumph. That was Thomas Paine in the American Crisis, and George Washington read that to his soldiers before they crossed the Delaware. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. That's my romanticization of our founding. But I think 2022, and our candidates talked about it. It is a crossing the Delaware moment for Connecticut.
Yeah.
They like to say that we're a blue state. We're not a blue state. We're a purple state. And I hate using those things, but purple, it means Julius Caesar, populare. We're populous. And when it comes to Connecticut, the reason we haven't been Republican and the reason we haven't voted red is because no one's given any people a damn reason to be a Republican. And that's what this group is about. That's what this election is about, is when they start to try to legislate your life, when they try to mask your 2-year-old, when everyone sitting in this room is $62,000 in debt to Ned Lamont and his cronies, when you pay $26,000 per student to get educated, and they're learning about, as Nicole said, masturbation at 3rd grade, that's not lawmaking. That's not representative government. That's something else. That's a pernicious force that is, fundamentally anti-American. Anti-Connecticut, anti-liberty. And I think it's about time that we lean into the fact that we are right and they are wrong.
Yeah.
Taxes in this, I think Alex said, this state's not open for business. They got rid of the SALT deduction, and that means property taxes. So if you open up a business, you get punished by the property taxes. If you try to buy a house, okay, your interest rate 7% right now, on top of inflation, that you've lost 30% of your monetary wealth just this year. That's crazy. It's absolute insanity. For our generation, I'm 33. I got into this because I was working at the post office. I got lucky enough to come to a meeting to listen to people like Nicole, who stood up and, one thing came to another, and I'm standing here now, but, it's God's will. And I was 30 years old. I was working at the post office, punching the clock at midnight. It's a fine job, a good job. And, I had an epiphany one 3 a.m. morning thinking, man, my dad, who became a postmaster, started where I started. If I stayed there for 25 years and became a postmaster and everything, which is a fine life, I couldn't give my childhood that I had to any of my future children. And that's a failure of generational leadership. That's policy that has not looked out for the Connecticut family. That's policy that has punished the Connecticut taxpayer. The only stakeholders in this state are you guys. The people who want to live out the American dream. And the American dream looks different to everyone. And these social issues that everyone talks about, like their abortion, throw it right back at them. They're extreme. It's settled law in Connecticut. It's Roe v. Wade. And, I have my own, personally I'm pro-life, but I understand the, bipartisanship when it comes to things that are contentious, It should be safe, legal, and accessible. No one should be locked away and thrown to jail. But you want to know what? I'd also like to ask, like my opponent Bob Zell, when does a choice become a baby? I'll play the game. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We could keep going all the way up because that's what they want. Everything that they do, they use people, they use race, they use women's issues, they use financial issues. Like you said the question, do you believe in early voting? And of course everyone's going to say like, well, yeah. But they're not talking about early voting. They're talking about you could, buy Christmas presents and drop off your ballot for the next November. That's not. That is crazy. And the fact that we even have to define these things is sad. But it's also part of it is our fault. Not this group in particular, but the fact that we've run away from sanity. We've run away from our spirit that created Connecticut to be, it was a Disney movie growing up here. We've run away from all that. And we've let them cede ground because we've been afraid to lean into all the positions that we stand for now. And, I'll take any questions and, we can talk policy all night, but this election, everything that's come out of Hartford, they've had a supermajority for 30 years. And all they have done is attack the quality of life of every single individual. And to me, Nicole touched on it with the schools, the pandemic, whatever you feel about what shots you want to put in your body and whatever, same thing with transgender issues and all that stuff. You're an adult, God bless you. Do what you want, it's your choice, have fun. You have no right to tell a neighbor what to do. A politician has no right to tell a person what they can do at all. Your private property is your blood, your sweat, your tears that go into your creating something, and to you holding a household. And that's different to everybody. And that to me should have been the final straw. Like what they're doing now with the kids, with Lamont not coming out against mandates. They can't rewrite history. I know they've tried, they've done it, they keep doing it, like the media not publishing the poll, they just want to pretend that there's not an election going on. But they can't rewrite history. One of the few blessings, besides the fact that we were able to see the perversion that they were teaching in our schools, one of the few blessings that I remember sitting on my couch, and I was on my parents' couch because, the state's goddamn unaffordable, is I remember watching and we knew 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, I'll give a month grace period, that kids, thank the Lord, kids weren't affected. If you had a kid under 18 or in high school, they were going to be fine. And yet they wanted to go through and still mask them, still segregate them. And now, 2 years later, they're still trying to force shots on them, which could be more harmful to them in the long run. And regardless of how you feel about that, again, that's between a mother and their child. Like you said, angry mama bear, that's a mother and a child. A politician was never, ever, ever supposed to have any type of that authority. And if we do not stand up for your kids, I don't want to go on forever, but that's the one thing we have to remember. We cannot let them define what we are. We've been right this whole time, and it's time to galvanize. We got 2 weeks left. Knock on doors. Like you said, what's my knocking on door strategy? I don't have a strategy. I see a street I like, we go down. And like you said, you can talk to these people. You can. Most people are not Democrats. Most people identify with the Blue Dog Democrat of 1998, with Clinton and Gingrich, chumming it up, talking about tax cuts. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about fundamental American liberties now. It's sad that we got to this point, but politics is trickled down from culture. If we do not take back our culture and we do not redefine a bulwark of conservatism within the town square, we cannot be social libertarians. We cannot be radical individuals. And that's what we stand for. So I appreciate everyone getting together tonight. Like I said, we'll be around. We can ask questions and, just don't get discouraged. This is a time to fight back even harder because they are insane. Plain and simple. So thank you.
Does anybody have a question for Daniel?
Oh, yes.
Are you gonna be on a podcast on Friday?
Oh yes, I'm going to be on Dr. Michael Goldstein's podcast. He's actually had, he's having Nicole on too, but he's actually had Kim Fiorella on, did you have
And Lopez.
and Lopez and Fazio. And again, so who asked you asked the literature question, right? So this is what we're dealing with here. They had a leviathan of money, power, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's why every 5 seconds you see a Dick Blumenthal commercial and a Ned Lamont, lying to you. Surplus. It's not a surplus. They took federal money to cover the books. Okay, we got $22 billion in pension liability. They're lying to you. And if there is a surplus sitting in the checking account, why is it sitting in a checking account while diesel's $6 a gallon and people can't heat their homes? All the stuff that they say you qualify for and everything, it all goes for one person. It doesn't help anyone. Because Connecticut is a subscription service, and they want to keep it that way. Because if they can control the purse, they control you. Same thing if they can control your medical conditions or decisions.
So now, obviously, doctors and stuff about you.
Yes.
So what's, in other words, just a couple of questions. What's demographically, what percentage of your district is Republican, Democrat, or Independent?
38 registered Democrats, 26, I think, registered Republicans, and the rest are unaffiliated. And like I say all the time, unaffiliated doesn't mean Democrat.
No, it doesn't. So now, how do you get, what's your strategy to beat it? So you have a good strategy.
It's a simple one. Bob Duff is a liar. And at every single turn, everything that he says is a drumbeat of, like you said, the national party line. And as I said, we cannot be scared of these people. The things that they say, like I said, they're not rational. All they are is they're rabid dogs. And like I said, it takes courage to run because you have to expect that. But now they're literally flailing because they have nothing to talk about. They have no record. They cannot explain. Remember, once the big orange man was gone, everything was supposed to be great, right? The adults are back in charge. Now you can't buy bacon. I don't know, and then they're still blaming Russia and Ukraine. It's abhorrent, and it's actually insulting to every single person they're supposed to represent. And it's why people don't trust politicians, and they don't trust them because why should they trust them when they're only looking out for themselves? So, thank you, and Dr. Michael Goldstein, listen to his podcast.